Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the step-by-step blueprint for becoming a commissioned Texas Notary Public. If you've been looking for a way to generate some extra income, expand your business services, or just build up some rock-solid professional credibility, you are in the right place. But here's the catch. You can only reap these benefits if you understand the exact steps, the strict rules, and your legal responsibilities before you even apply. Right out of the gate, we need to talk about what's actually at stake here. Sure, getting your notary commission offers some fantastic business opportunities, but a single misunderstood rule or one botched step on your application, well, that can lead to months of delays, a totally rejected application, or once you're actually commissioned, even criminal charges. No joke. So the goal of this explainer is to give you a crystal clear, beginner-friendly roadmap. We're going to bypass that confusion and avoid those costly errors entirely. So here is our roadmap for today. We'll cover 1. Why become a Texas notary? 2. Basic Texas eligibility requirements. 3. The step-by-step application process. 4. Official fees and notary supplies. 5. Duties, rules, and common mistakes. And finally, number 6. Important professional and legal disclaimers. Let's jump right into Section 1. Why become a Texas notary? The sheer practicality of taking on this role is absolutely incredible. To put it in perspective, a Texas notary averages around $46,000 in annual income, but it's not just a standalone job. It integrates perfectly into careers you might already have, especially if you're in real estate, law, or banking. Plus, it opens doors to really lucrative loan signing agent work, where you handle critical closing documents. There's just this continuous high demand for impartial witnesses for legal and financial transactions. You're basically providing a bedrock service for the state's commercial infrastructure.
All right, moving on to Section 2, Basic Texas Eligibility Requirements.
Before you spend a single dime, you've got to make sure you actually qualify. The basic qualifications are pretty straightforward. You've got to be at least 18 years old and a legal resident of Texas. Now, there is a small exception if you're a licensed escrow officer living in an adjacent state like New Mexico or Louisiana, but generally speaking, Texas residency is a must. But here's where people really trip up. You absolutely must have a clean criminal record. The Texas Secretary of State runs random background checks, and you'd be surprised how often this catches applicants completely off guard. So what does a clean record actually mean? Well, you'll be disqualified if you have a final conviction for a felony or any crime involving what the law calls moral turpitude. Basically, this means conduct involving dishonesty, fraud, deceit, or deliberate violence. Think things like theft or embezzlement, whether it's a felony or just a Class A or B misdemeanor. You might wonder why the state is so incredibly strict about this. It's because a notary acts as an official, completely impartial witness to critical legal transactions. If someone has a history of fraud, the state literally cannot grant them the public's trust. Let's get into Section 3, the step-by-step application process. Okay, if you meet all those requirements, here is your exact blueprint. Step 1 is actually a brand new requirement that kicked off in 2026. You now have to take a mandatory online education course directly through the Secretary of State's portal. Don't worry, it's very beginner-friendly. You just watch about 45 minutes of training videos and pass a 20-question open book exam with a 70% score. Easy, right? Step 2, you need to secure a $10,000 surety bond. Step 3, submit your application along with a $21 state filing fee. And finally, Step 4, once you're approved, you take your official oath of office. I really want to pause on Step 2 for just a second because it is a huge point of confusion for beginners. You are required by law to buy a $10,000 surety bond. But here's the catch. That surety bond protects the public if you make a mistake that costs them money. It does not protect you. If the bonding company pays out a claim to a citizen, they are absolutely going to come after you to get their money back. And that is exactly why many notaries choose to buy optional errors and omissions or E&O insurance. E&O insurance is what actually protects you, the notary, from legal fees and honest mistakes. Which brings us to Section 4, official fees and notary supplies. The economics of getting started here are super accessible. Your mandatory 4-year surety bond is generally going to cost you about $50. The state application and that new education course, that'll run you $41. Add in your physical supplies, and your total initial investment is typically right between $170 and $195. For a 4-year commission that can generate a really significant side income, that is just a fantastic return on investment. Speaking of income, how much can you actually charge people? while state law heavily dictates your maximum fees. Thanks to some recent legislative updates, the max fee you can charge for a standard acknowledgement is now $10 for the first signature and $1 for each additional signature. Administering an oath? That's also $10. Now, if you travel to a client as a mobile notary, you can legally charge an agreed-upon travel fee on top of those standard rates. And if you go the extra mile and get authorized for remote online notarization, or RON, you can add a surcharge of up to $25 per act. Now, when you're buying your physical supplies, you have to purchase an official inked stamp or an embosser. And by law, it absolutely must contain your name, your commission expiration date, your notary ID number, and it has to feature this exact 5-point Texas star surrounded by the words Notary Public, State of Texas. Let me be clear, without this specific seal, your notarizations are completely invalid.
Moving on to Section 5, Duties, Rules, and Common Mistakes.
It's honestly fascinating to see how notarization has evolved in Texas, and you are empowered to perform a few different types. First, there's traditional notarization, which is your classic in-person pen and paper setup. Then you've got electronic notarization, which is still in person but signed digitally on a tablet or computer. And what's really cool is remote online notarization, or RON, where you verify a signer's identity and witness their signature over a highly secure audio-visual conference. No matter the format, your main duties remain the same: verifying identities, witnessing signatures, and administering oaths for documents like jurats. One of your most crucial responsibilities is record keeping. You must maintain a secure record book, often called a journal, detailing every single notarization you perform, even if you didn't charge a fee for it. You have to write down the date, the signer's address, the exact method you use to identify them, and a solid description of the document. Under the newer rules, you're required to hold onto this journal for 10 years after your commission expires. Why? Because this journal is literally your ultimate defense if a transaction is ever questioned in court. Let's draw a very clear line in the sand when it comes to ethics. You must always act as a completely impartial witness. This means you can never notarize your own signature. Seriously, don't do it. Furthermore, you cannot notarize any document where you are named or where you stand to benefit financially. For example, if a document transfers a piece of property to you, you cannot be the notary on it. Doing so completely destroys the impartiality that the state demands from you. Here's another massive pitfall you need to watch out for: the unauthorized practice of law. Unless you happen to be a licensed practicing attorney in the state of Texas, you cannot give legal advice. A really common way beginners accidentally break this rule is by telling a client which type of notarial certificate they need, like picking between an acknowledgement or a jurat for them. Choosing a certificate actually requires legal analysis. You have to ask the client which one they want or tell them to contact whoever created the document. Whatever you do, do not choose for them. And this brings us to perhaps the most fatal beginner mistake of all: the convenience notarization. This usually happens when a friend or your boss hands you a signed document and says, "Hey, you know me, just stamp this real quick." Let me be crystal clear. If the signer is not physically present in front of you at the exact time of the notarization or properly present via an approved RON audiovisual platform, doing this is strictly illegal. It is a criminal offense, it will cost you your commission, and could potentially land you in massive legal trouble. The signer must always appear before you. No exceptions whatsoever. Finally, Section 6. Important professional and legal disclaimers. Because you are acting as an official officer of the state, your ultimate source of truth must always be the Texas Secretary of State. The information we've covered today gives you a really comprehensive, practical guide, but keep in mind this is for educational purposes. Things change. Notary laws, maximum allowable fees, required application forms, and eligibility rules are all subject to legislative changes over time. We literally just saw this happen with the new mandatory education requirements that were implemented in 2026. Because of this, you must continually verify current laws, administrative codes, and remote notarization requirements directly through official state resources or qualified legal professionals before you apply or perform any notarial acts. And that brings us to the very end of our roadmap. You now have the complete blueprint to avoid the common delays, bypass those costly errors, and understand exactly what is required of you legally and ethically. It's a role of profound public trust that also just happens to offer fantastic avenues for professional growth and side income. So the only question left is, now that you hold the keys to this essential public service, how will you use your new Texas Notary Commission to build your future?